Hello everybody, welcome back to Rationally Speaking. I'm Martin Turner. This is my colleague and co-host, Stuart Carrington. Well, I mean, what we could try and answer as well is what REBT is not.
Okay.
So what I did there?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, you turned it around in a really clever way.
Well, I added a word.
To stimulate more conversation.
Yeah. So...
All right, what REBT isn't.
I mean, yeah, I suppose let's focus on, because it's obviously not lots of things.
Sure, yeah.
You know what I mean?
So we do,
it can't be a bit of a full list, but I think we should focus on the things that, the misconceptions of what people think it might be, so we can address that it's not those things, rather than saying, well, it's not carrots.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, but it's not.
It's not, you know what I mean? Yeah. So we'd have a big list, wouldn't we?
We'd have a really big list. Okay, I'll kick off. What a common misconception I find about REBT is that it's an expert telling someone else what to think and how to think. That'd be my first misconception.
Okay.
I'll give you another one. So just to sort of, spice things up a little bit. It's also not. Yes, the first one is.
So
go on.
Yeah, so it's not directive.
Yeah.
You know, it can be directive if it's appropriate in the moment, but it's not by definition directive.
Yeah, it's flexible enough that it can move around that. That might be one.
Yes.
Okay. I had a really good one, and then I lost my train of thought.
Good. I like to do that. I'll do one then.
Yeah.
It's not obsessed with beliefs.
Okay.
Which I think is a misconception. As I said there, it does have something to say about belief and about the role of how you see the world, your ideas about the world. It has an idea of how that shapes emotions, behaviours, cognitions, for sure. And it does dominate the literature in REBT, that the ideas around irrational and rational beliefs and how that manifests in certain ways. But it doesn't close the door to all these other things that we can do in REBT, which are, well, we can actually help people to not keep walking into walls. It's not just a case of saying, well, I walked into a wall. Well, you're best to think rationally about walking into the wall.
Sure.
It's also about trying to help them not to walk into walls.
Yeah.
And I think that's a misconception. People think, basically, we don't encourage people to change any aspect of their life. And all we do is to say, well, there's no need for any tangible change. Yeah. You just have to change what you think. It's all about how you think. I think it's not that.
Okay.
And that is a misconception. Yeah. Because that's how we write about it. Of course, it's about practical discussion around, well, how can we stop you from doing that thing that then you're having the irrational belief about,
Yeah. But I think it's more of an invite to consider how you might view that outlook. And if someone's like, well, no, actually, I think this is really helping me. We use this term, how's that working for you? Great. Yeah. All right, well, okay. Like, I wouldn't advocate this, but you go ahead. We're in cahoots here. I remembered what my other one was.
Go on.
Yeah, so my other one was, it's not victim blaming. So
some good ones.
Sometimes it can sound like that. And I get that. I've certainly read some text around REBT and thought, oh, so it's a little bit, this is your fault. Yeah. And I've seen some things online where people might talk about cognitive therapy generally and think, oh, you're wrong, or you're thinking wrong then. And I don't really disagree with this view about what REBT is. Wonder what your thoughts are on that.
Well, I think that one of the reasons that people might see it as victim blaming is because if you really, really boil it down and present it in a brief and sloppy way, you're basically saying that the reason you feel what you feel is because of how you believe about what's happening to you.
Yeah.
What do you believe and how you believe about the situation. So that discredits the influence and power of the situation on emotion. So perception is really important in REBT, and it kind of follows an emotion regulation sort of process model, particularly by James Gross. The idea is that there is a stimulus, and then you attend to that stimulus.
Yeah.
Okay, then you make meaning of it. So the stimulus and the attention to the stimulus are obviously important part of the emotion regulation process. And I think we have to always, discourage this notion that it doesn't matter what happens to you, it's how you think that is the main thing. It's like, look, they're both important. So if we look at the ABC, A for adversity, B for beliefs, C for consequences, it's A times B equals C. The A is important in that formula, and I think that's why sometimes people might think that it's victim blaming, because we're basically saying, oh, it doesn't matter about the situation, it's how you think. But it's basically, you've done it to yourself because of how you think. Well, if that's silly. But what we want to express to people is that because beliefs play an important role, and because perception and attention plays an important role, you have the capacity and responsibility to shape your emotion based on what's happened to you. You can do that. What we don't do is say, "Oh, so the situation doesn't matter."
And that's kind of like a bit of a bugbear of mine when people assume that. So Ellis was really kind of clear upon this, that it wasn't adversity alone. And by adding that word alone, he's acknowledging, well, this is important. And then I guess this ties in with another kind of misconception, which is that REBT is anti-humanistic. And I actually think it's the opposite. Because he's saying it's not adversity alone, he's acknowledging that because of the human condition, there are going to be certain things that happen to us in our lives that are adverse. That might be a bereavement. That might be ambiguity in what to do. That might be something just being a general pain in the backside. So there's all these different things that can happen to us. But like you mentioned there, it's, well, part of our condition is that we're going to have be sort of succumb to these events, experience these events that are going to create negative emotions.
Yes.
But we can then decide to what extent those negative emotions impact our behaviours.
Functionally or dysfunctionally.
Correct.
Perfect. Just picking up on what you're saying there, the way that I present this or talk about this is that one of the reasons REBT is humanistic is because it recognises that all that you are as a human being, you're not an academic, you're not an athlete, you are a human being. You work as an academic. So it boils it down to humanness. That's all you are, a human. Okay, so if we say that's true, which it obviously is, I think you're...
Last time I checked,
human. So we take that as true. Okay, well, everything that's true about humans is true about you. You're fallible, you're limited, you're imperfect. Sometimes you'll succeed, sometimes you'll fail. And the reason that is because the world you inhabit is unpredictable, uncontrollable, often dangerous. So you put an imperfect being into an uncontrollable, imperfect system, and you're going to face some adversity. It's adverse, sort of almost by definition. So to say that the situation doesn't matter, it doesn't count, is just a non-starter for me. People have to figure out how to deal with the adversity to minimise suffering. You will suffer because you're human. That's kind of like a Schopenhauer take on it. I know it's a pessimistic take, but you suffer because you're human. So we can try to alleviate our suffering by not walking into walls. Great. But we will walk into walls. And when we do, then how do we make sure that our suffering is actually functional for us? And we don't completely crash and burn. And that's where REBT has something to say. And it says, well, function stems from a certain way of seeing the world that aligns with truth, logic, and pragmatics. Not being rigid, not thinking things that are very extreme and dogmatic, thinking in ways that reflects the human spirit. You know what I mean?